Hey traders, welcome to Charts and Coffee. Happy Monday, everybody. Got a second giant vat of coffee here this morning. Raring to go for this morning's day trades, as well as today, our volume decoded class follow-up. So yes, it is not too late to join us for that class. It's been recorded. We have the Q&A following the class up today, big 90-minute Q&A at 2:30, and looking forward to covering those questions. This is the first time we've done a follow-up to a class like this, and I think it's going to be brilliant and definitely fill in the gaps for things that might not have clicked on Saturday. So super stoked about that. All right, gang, quick pit stop at the economic calendar. Now, if you joined us for the weekly Raghee report, you know that part of our good habits are heading on over to the calendar and taking a look at what we've got coming up. So if you recall, we already had ECB President Lagarde and early this morning, and she shot the euro out of a cannon higher, and that's going to put pressure on the US dollar. So if you're wondering, why is the dollar down today? Why is the greenback weaker? It's because European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde said something. I don't even know what she said. We don't need to know about the details. We just need to look at the price, and price will reflect what was communicated. That's what's so beautiful about being a chartist, because we know there's so much news, so much fundamentals, so many different narratives on any symbol, and price distills all of that. So, which is really cool. We don't have major data, really. We have no data of major significance till we get to this week's CPI, which is clearly a major release. However, between now and then, we've got elections tomorrow. Tomorrow is not as tricky a day as it would seem. It's the day after. Much like the FOMC days up until 2 p.m. are pretty tradable. The next day is far more difficult because the market continues to digest what was said the day before. Elections will definitely be that way because, remember, we do not get election results till much later Tuesday. So Wednesday is going to be the caution day, if you will, this week. All right, gang. So with all that being said, thank you as always for joining the Caffeinate and Dominate crew. I know we got a lot of long-time folks here, watchers here. Welcome to those of you that are new to Charts and Coffee. All right, so let's get to it. First question. For the day trading on 5-minute charts, sure. Besides the slow stochastic, are there any free oscillators I recommend using MACD? Oh, okay, MACD RSI. No, not really, Christian. I stick with MACD is interesting for momentum environments. I do not use an RSI. I've got no length of time using that as a decision-making tool. I'm aware of it. It is cool, but I don't use it. CCIs are pretty cool. But remember, the indicator that we choose to use is very much a part of the underlying market structure that we're dealing with. So as far as free tools, I love MACD histograms, 12-26-9. I love my slow stow, 23-21-3. And a 20-period CCI is very powerful. It's just that we have to know which environment each one of them should ideally be used. All right, next up. Hey there, Les. Good morning. Suggestion for the possible book club, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Don't Panic. Yeah, I thank you for that, Les. Yeah, I definitely want to start our non-trading books for traders. No trading books in this book club, including my own. Non-trading books for traders. Yeah, I've always wanted to do that. That's just a itch I want to scratch. But clearly, I love books and I love to read. And there's so much when we look at books like Annie Duke's series of books, even Malcolm Gladwell's series of books on sports psychology. There's so many of them that are so cool and helpful. Yeah, thanks for the recommendation, Les. I appreciate that. All right, I am Groot. Wells Fargo. Okay. What do we have on Wells? It just started trending higher. This is one session of moving higher. We need two to say that this is now a buy the dippable market. It's on the verge of a breakout. I say that for two reasons. One, we're already above the 200 propulsion, and two, we're testing that first of the year anchored VWAP. At that point, breaking through the mean of the V score. Look at the resistance, 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 resistance. Breaking higher through that is most certainly going to usher in the uptrend. And at that point, if you want to put in an aggressive Momo entry long, or you want to wait for a buy the dip opportunity, definitely something we can take a look at. All right, next up, is there any way to bolster and develop discipline as a trader other than treating it like a muscle and getting the reps in by exercising restraint? Yeah, and it's a little more complicated for traders. So in fairness to everyone here who has learned from, say, another trader, if you're here at Simpler, you're learning from many of our roster of traders here. And it's a little bit more complicated. And I say this because on one hand, it's great because someone else is putting in sort of the trial and error and the blood, sweat, and tears and saying, here, this works, and serves it up on a platter. But the other issue is you have to then now get confidence in it. Now, of course, I have confidence in my tools. I've developed most of them, and I've been using all of them for usually years, if not, frankly, decades. So there's a cycle. I call it the 3 C's. I put it in my first book. It's comprehension. Do you understand it, right? A lot of times traders really don't understand the process, the setup, the methodology. And then there's no way to then begin to train your eyes to trust what you see. Comprehension leads to confirmation. You want to be able to confirm what you see on the screen. And then when you loop around between I get it and I see it, I get it and I see it, right? I get it meaning comprehension, I see it meaning confirmation. The natural outflow of that is confidence. So it is still putting in the reps. I'm afraid there is no, and I know you know this, there's no shortcut to that. There really isn't. I think keeping an open mind will make that process quicker and less painful, but there's no replacement for that. All right, next up. Hey there, Luke. Really enjoyed the class. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed putting that class on, so I appreciate you being there. Really do. Straightforward presentation. Can't wait to keep my training and eyes. Yeah, training my eyes and then developing that discipline muscle. Yeah, Luke, we're gonna do that. Well, you took the class, so you'll be with me this morning in the Sector Secrets Mastery for our day trading. We do that 5 days a week, and then we have multiple sessions. And I know those of you that are part of the mastery already know this, but those of you that are brand new, you hop in wherever it is applicable. I don't want this to feel like a burden of a schedule. It's not. Everything's recorded. You can go back and watch it at your leisure. But we have a pretty busy calendar, that mastery. We day trade every morning. Today we have a tech session. Tomorrow we do not only day trading, but our longer term position trades, day trading, the watch list building, day trading, then Ask Me Anything on Friday. It's pretty busy. So you'll definitely get that opportunity, Luke. Yeah, you definitely will. All right, Robert asks, are there any sectors that I'm looking at right now for getting long other than oil, other than energy, Robert? And I'm also looking at, I am slowly looking at natty gas because there's a great overlap between the FCG ETF and the holdings within it and the XOP ETF. So that would be XLE, obviously. That's a pretty obvious one. OIH, that's your oil services. XOP, this is your explorers. And then FCG has a lot of overlap with XOP. It's not moving higher yet, but there are some stocks within the FCG natural gas ETF. Now, there's a natural gas ETF for the underlying commodity. There's also a natural gas ETF for natural gas stocks. And you'll notice that it tends to overlap with the oil explorers stocks pretty well. So I'd keep an eye on all 4 of those right now. All right. Okay, next up, Sam K. Good morning. Thanks for a fantastic class. Truly my pleasure. You all are the ones putting in the work, spending the time, and frankly, the money. And so the admiration is absolutely mutual. If a VWAP is anchored at 7 a.m., will the instant calculation begin at 7? Yes, it'll start digesting the volume and the price at 7. And you'll see a lot of volatility immediately uh, at that anchor point, whatever the anchor point is, because there's so much for the indicator to start to align to. But yes, it will start to plot at 7 a.m. Now remember, it's a five. If you're on a 5-minute chart and you're anchored at 7, remember the first 5 minutes is when the VWAP is moving around and digesting all that information in those first 300 seconds, right? And then once that's done, you'll get your first plot. And then onward from there. Okay, next up is, are we going up today? It's a long day. We're up right now. Remember, we can only trade now. We can only trade what we see. Are we going up today? I have no clue. Yeah, I've never, ever, ever consistently paid myself by kind of a crystal ball. For now, it's pretty bullish, right? So what's another way we could look at this? What are the obstacles on the way up? What are those price levels I need to continue to break in order to be thinking we could go up? To your point, yep. So I never want to go by opinion. I see a lot of people talk about opinions, and they're the chuckleheads that are talking about significant highs and lows and projecting levels that are way out there. That's called clickbait, my friends. Right? Nobody knows where the markets are going to go. I've known that for 33 years. I don't know where the markets are going to go. However, to your point, we do have different levels that could indicate if there's continuation, right? I would say one thing we want to really keep an eye on is, can we continue to stay above basically 3780 on the S&P, for example? And we say the market, right? Are we going up? I'm just going to use the S&P, but there's lots of markets that we can look at. There's individual sectors, there's individual stocks, there's currencies, there's treasuries, right? There's energies, there's metals. So I know most of the time we talk about the markets, myself included, we're talking about stocks. So S&P would be a good, way to do that. So are we above the previous, that 3780? Then I want to know if we can get above the next level I'm going to be measuring is 3,800. And can we get above 3805? I'd like to see a break above 3805. So that would be another rung on sort of the ladder that we're climbing to continue higher. What else do I want to see? What is the intraday support for the S&P? Now, there's a couple ways we can look at support. If the market is trending, I'll use my 34 EMA wave or maybe a 21 propulsion. If the market is heading higher but chopping, I'll use my hourly price movement ranges, right? So that is definitely what we want to think about in terms of, what are those levels of support? Think of them as rungs on a ladder or steps on the staircase. That's definitely what we want to continue to think about. All right. Let's see what else we have here. Thanks for all the book recommendations, gang. I appreciate that. Thanks, Alex. No, with this, look, there's going to be plenty of things that we can discuss together once I get that going. I'm very excited to do that. Yeah, there's definitely a big list. I've got a number of them in my mind too. Probably starting off with Annie Duke Quit, to be quite frank. All right. Next up is, am I day trading futures? Ricky, yes. Remember though, if I'm day trading futures, I've got micros I can look at. I've got minis I can look at. I've got options on the minis that I can look at. Then that could map then forward to the SPY puts and calls, SPX puts and calls. So yes, on futures for me, but I will also consider the different alternatives, the choose your own adventure part of it. So yes, I love to day trade futures. They're liquid. The order entries is much more simple and aligned to stop orders and limit orders. Makes it very, very straightforward, especially sometimes at the speed some of the price levels are reached. All right, next up. Hey there, JR. Just joined your decoding volume. Awesome mastery class. Excellent. Thank you so much. Wondering where I get the hourly price movement range indicator. All right, so JR, there's two ways you can do it. So since you've taken the class, you now have access to the mastery. So welcome to our think tank, right? In the Sector Secrets Mastery room, our trading room, there is something called a room drive, which you may or may not be familiar with. Inside the room drive, I do have a free pack. So so there's a premium pack too, which has a much wider array of symbols that we have for the hourly price movement range. But the most popular and the most requested, I've actually always made for free. And those are the indices. So the Russell, the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ, all of those are available in the Sector Secrets Mastery Room, as well as those corresponding ETFs. So IWM, DIA, SPY, QQQ. Those hourly price movement ranges are in the Sector Secrets Mastery, and it's one of the perks of being a Mastery member. Now, if you want a wider array of symbols, if you really love the hourly price movement ranges and say, yes, I want this for Apple and gold and different ETFs, then that's where the premium would come in. Okay, so thank you for the question. D Professor 1 says, having a written trading plan is another requirement to become a successful, disciplined trader. Yeah, I think in the beginning, it's not just even a plan. I love the idea of a plan. And then I even like to get more granular and call it a checklist. So we're on the same page, of course. Of course. And why written? Why would a written plan be important? I think when we write things down, there's a different adherence, there's a different permanence. It's something that's right in front of our face. Look, when I'm trading, I have a number of journals. I'm always taking notes. This is a blank sheet. I'm starting with the blank week, right? But I'm always taking notes. You can see the week before. You can see all the notes that are in there. I don't know if you can on the week before. And I'm a big fan of, I'm going to remind myself on Wednesday, it's a caution day. I'm going to remind myself on Thursday, the CPI. So there's a lot of things, right? When we write them down, though, to your point, I agree. All right. So next up, yeah, Frank, I agree. Thinking in bets is brilliant. How to decide. Look, I'm a huge Annie Duke fan, so I'm probably not going to say anything other than they're all brilliant. But I have to say, thinking in bets is great. Quit is next level. Yeah, next level. Okay. Next up, so I trade for an hour in the morning. Yes. So every morning, let me get that image back up here. So every morning in the Sector Secrets Mastery, please note the room. I don't want anyone confused. Every morning in the Mastery, I day trade the first hour of the day. That's my favorite, by the way. That's my favorite window. And that's that 9. The session starts at 9:20 and goes to 10:35. And then I will usually keep going to 11:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have some more time for Q&A and things like that. But that session is from 9:20 to 10:35 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We typically go, and we probably should just update this image, but we go to about 11:20. Go to about 11:20 Eastern. All right. Okay. Thank you for the question, Vicky. All right. Next up is, do I have a written checklist? I personally do. Yeah, I'll usually have but it depends on the type of trade that we're putting on, Zane. That's definitely part of what I do with the notes for members that are in the Mastery or the Simpler Futures room, which is the other place that I also am. I'm in a lot of rooms here at Simpler. I spend 3 days, three different sessions in the futures room. I have one session in the options room. I sometimes fill in the day trading room. I've got multiple sessions every day of the week. I've got multiple sessions and I'm in the Mastery every day of the week. So I'm in a lot of different rooms, and it depends on the kind of trade that we're putting on. But yes, part of the notes that I share with members is the process. Not as it's much more detailed with a lot more information than a simple checklist. But yeah, the whole point is to focus on that process and checklist, to your point, keep us on track. So good stuff. All right, gang. As always, thank you so much for being a part of the Caffeinate and Dominate crew. Thank you as always for your time. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for all the feedback on the class. It is not too late to join us for Volume Decoded. You can check that out at simplertrading.com/volume. And so we're now at webinars are done. We are getting to work. We're getting to work now. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. I'll see you all for the Q&A portion of that class. today at 2:30. So if you're wondering, Rod, can I join? Get that done before 2:30 so you can join us live today in the classroom. All right, gang, time to go day trading. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same station. Be good to each other.